On a rocky hilltop in West Austin, artist Claudia Reese sculpted a home and garden tied into the land with the intricacy she brings to her mosaics, tiles, and sculptures. Inspired by Plenty Fisk of the Center for Maximum Potential Building Systems, she designed resourceful living, from rainwater collection to a compressed earth house. It all started in 1987 with her studio, Ceramix.
It happened organically, and it happened as I had funds. And so the first thing we built was a studio. I had a great architect who lived in Boston, who'd been a friend of mine forever, and she designed the studio. And then she designed the second building, which is now the kitchen.
Claudia is renowned for public art installations, custom-made residential tile designs, sculpture, and dinnerware.
It really enhances people's lives to have beautiful dinnerware, beautiful cup to put in their hands. We moved in the studio in 1992 and built this house in 2008. I wanted it to be as sustainable as possible. We decided to use a version of rammed earth, compressed earth blocks. And the earth block is like 14 inches by 11 inches by 3.5 inches. Outside is completely covered with something called lime plaster. It has to breathe, the walls have to breathe. Moisture has to go in and has to go out. And so what happens is the house stays at a pretty even temperature a lot of the year. I also have enough solar panels to, if I'm not running my kilns, they will take care of all of my electric needs. I put in wind turbines, and that was one thing that didn't work. I don't have enough wind here. But they're friendly things, and they twirl around, and they put shadows everywhere as the blades go around.
She built rainwater collection into the infrastructure, underground pumps, and 22,000 gallons of roof runoff into 3 cisterns.
Oh, I could put a little garden there, and I could put a little garden over here, and I think, okay, that's going to take water. And it doesn't do any good to plant anything unless you've got a water system figured out.
The collection tubes prompted her to combine mosaic with her first love, sculpture.
And the roof feeds into these 2 caryatids that I have out here. And I've always loved the Grecian caryatids, the women holding up the roof. There's a structure inside them holding them, and they're built around this structure. And the water goes into the birds and down through a column inside the sculpture and into the pump tank.
Her first collection system drains into a repurposed metal disc atop a mosaic wrap tube. It funnels roof runoff into 14 linked 55-gallon drums buried into her sculpture garden. Then she focused on exterior decorating, both broad views and intimate details.
I would do one thing, and then it would kind of demand that something else get done. And so when we built the house, being made out of clay, basically, it's a big pot. It just called for decoration. And when I was starting to build the house, I wanted to use my tile and my architectural elements like the chimney pots.
Another bit of architecture encloses an outdoor shower.
And of course I had to tile it. It gives me another surface. So any surface I could find to tile that would make sense to do. And it made your experience of being in that space more pleasurable and joyful, then that's what I wanted to do. I just call that the flower porch because there's on the back wall underneath that archway, there are big flowers. When we were building it, they just said, okay, well, you want to put tiles here? Yeah. And then they would put lime plaster around it, and so that it looks like it's integral with the wall.
Her love of sculpting took her to China to learn more about their technique for large sculptures. One warrior couldn't resist moving to Austin. She kicks around ideas on her daily laps. One was a sun deck, furnished with a deep lounging bench, complete with tiled drink platforms. A round mosaic table offsets rectangular lines.
And then after I got that done, we're sitting there and we're looking down the length of the pool all the time. I'm going, gee, I need some punctuation at the end of the pool. I need something to finish it. And I wanted it to be on the same level as the pool, but the terrain goes up there. And I didn't want to dig into the terrain. I have beautiful oaks back there, and I didn't want to hurt the oaks. So we had to go up. I made it as small as possible to still be useful. It's not going to ever have a roof on it. It's just a drawing in space. We put 4 columns, because I want to do more. I love columns. And they're partially tiled right now. They're going to be tiled all the way up. But I've made capitals. I've made 3 capitals so far. There's 2 up. One is artichoke agave. One is palm leaves that are sprawled like that, but they're flopping over. And then the 3rd one is nopalitos, the little cactus. The 4th one's gonna be water lilies, because I've got ponds here with water lilies in them. It's just a beautiful thing to have a wall, and it's got a big shelf on it where I can put sculptures of my birds up later. I just love the color turquoise. It can be so beautiful. It has such depth to it, depending on how you apply the glaze and how much glaze you put on it, and how much copper carbonate is in the glaze, and how much cobalt.
She values the emotional chemistry of plants, too, as long as they get along.
It's more like, I'll plant something, if it survives, great, I'll plant more of that. If it doesn't survive, I'll look for something else.
Near the living areas, she cultivates for amiable presentation.
I wanted to have wild areas and then a few kind of cultivated, but I'm kind of a messy cultivator. The idea was to leave it as natural as possible, as wild as possible.
She cultivated a natural look in the cove beyond the kitchen. In fact, many of the plants seeded the rock ledge design themselves.
There are a lot of rocks just sitting around here because of all the construction. So I found this really great guy. This guy, he was only 16, and he made that whole wall for me. And it was one of his first jobs, and he put his heart into this thing.
The levels make perfect pedestals for Claudia's own sculptures.
Some of those sculptures are 25 years old.
Others tell their stories along the porches, wrapping the kitchen and studio. Sculptures greet visitors in the front island bed that directs cars around to parking.
So we put a little wall around it to start to define where the car should go. And then I called the fire department and had them come up here and say, "Can your truck get up here?" They said, "Well, we can't turn around." So I made that, there's like a half circle out there that I planted thunder mix, you know, the buffalo grass, the blue grama, in there, and it's flat enough, and the fire department says, "Yeah, we can back over this if we have to." Also, keep trimming the trees in the driveway, so because they're trucks, they're big. So you have to have access if you don't want your house to burn down.
They advised her about trees near the house, too. For safety, many ash junipers, called cedars, were cut down and turned into furniture.
A lot of the cedars that are still here, we've trimmed them up so that the needles are high and the trunk is exposed, and they said that they are much better fire-wise that way. I tried to make a 30-foot space between where a juniper or cedar is and the house. Now I know I've got one out here, and it will be replaced as soon as I get around to it.
Living companionably with the land is an art of its own.
I really think architecture and the environment you live in, that defines your life in a certain way. And if it's not beautiful, then your experience isn't beautiful, and you're not feeling those really happy, wonderful thoughts all the time, and so your life isn't as good. I just try to make everything so beautiful that you have a happy life, and anybody that comes here is happy. That's why I called this place Casa Alegre. That's the name of this house, Casa Alegre.